Good morning, all. Today's session is like related to user management. Malati?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Okay, so today's session we are going to discuss about user management in PostgreSQL. Okay, so here you can see the PostgreSQL user all roles. Okay, so here the user and role both are same, and the schemas. Okay, we will discuss the modules for today. So the module is how to create the user or role. Okay, so there are two utilities two ways we can do the creation of the users by using the PSQL prompt, and also there is a OS utility from the binaries, that is a create user utility, or we may have to create user with help of the interactive mode as well. And the next thing is how we need to drop the user or roles in PostgreSQL by using the PSQL prompt and drop user utility. So then we need to play with the privileges in PostgreSQL, how we can grant and how we can revoke those things. Okay, so then we are going to discuss about what is the schema, okay, and what is the search path of the schema. So this term search path is a new for you guys, okay, so that we can discuss in this particular module. Okay, next one is how we can create the schema, how we can drop the schema. Okay, so everything we will cover in this particular module. Okay, so user or role. Okay, in PostgreSQL, actually the user and role, okay, both are same. The term user and role both are same. Okay, so if you compare with Oracle role is nothing but the grouping of the objects. Okay, so that particular that role we are going to grant to the any user. Okay, in PostgreSQL, okay, the role with login privilege is equivalent to user. Okay, we will show you the demo. Okay, and the user and role both are same. Here in PostgreSQL, role with login privilege, it is equivalent to user in PostgreSQL. Okay, so here there is a condition in PostgreSQL. So same in table space management as we discussed. Okay, the name should not be start with PG underscore. Okay, here also in the user and role also we should not create any user or role starting with PG underscore. Why? Because these particular PG underscore naming conversions already allocated to dictionary related tables and dictionary related default table spaces and some of the internal users. Okay, so PG underscore is already allocated to those internal users in PostgreSQL. So whenever if you're creating any user, so you need to customize your username like anything. Okay, except PG underscore. Okay, so and next thing is PostgreSQL is a super user that from last I don't know 2 weeks onwards we are using the PostgreSQL user. Okay, doing any kind of lab activity in our sessions. Okay, so that is a super user. Okay, the same user is created during the installation of PostgreSQL. Okay, this is a super user and it is having the almost every privilege in the PostgreSQL. Okay, so actually only super user or user with create role privilege can create the user. Okay, so it means the create role. Okay, that is the one of the privilege, or maybe we can call it as one of the role in PostgreSQL. Okay, the user which is having the that create role privilege can able to create the user, or the user which is having the super user privilege. Okay, that user also able to create the user in PostgreSQL. Okay, so the role and the users, okay, the both are in PostgreSQL is at database, those particular users at cluster level. Okay, so user and role. Okay, so the both are same in PostgreSQL. Okay, and again I'm repeating, user and role both are same in PostgreSQL. Role with login privilege is equivalent to user in PostgreSQL. Okay, so normal role is you're unable to log in. We will show you in the demo how it will be. Okay, but in PostgreSQL, role and user both are same. Okay, so user and role both are at cluster level in PostgreSQL. Any doubts here, guys?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so this is the syntax to create the user. Okay, so with the help of the PSQL utility, create user username. Okay, and login, and there is a like super user, that is a like a role, that is an inbuilt role. We have some set of inbuilt roles we will show you. Okay, create user, create role, create a DB. Okay, so these are the like set of rules we have. Okay, those privileges, those roles we will show you during the demo. Okay, so in the PSQL, like we can create like this: create user, username, and like login and the options. Okay, which role we are going to assign, and then the password and password. This is a common. This is a common user syntax in even in Oracle also. And also there are some like CLI utilities. That is the create user utility. Even with that particular utility also, you can create the user. Okay, this utility we can get it from like whenever if you install PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, in the binaries you can get the create user and the drop user. All these utilities will be available. Okay, and there is another a mode of like user creation, that is an interactive mode. Okay, so like just to, with the help of the like this utility, command line utility, CLI utility, just you can type the interactive mode. So it will give you the option. Okay, so which role we need to assign. Okay, so like all the privileges it will give. It is an interactive mode. Okay. And next one is the drop user. Okay, so drop user, like just we can use the drop user username from the PSQL prompt, or we have the like CLI utility, that is the drop user. Okay, so with help of any option. Okay, so you can drop the user in PostgreSQL. Okay, and like whenever like in PostgreSQL, like whenever if you're trying to drop any user. Okay, so the particular user, okay, the particular user is like holding any objects. Okay, so in that case they will throw a error. Okay, they will throw a like, so this particular user is holding some of the objects. Okay, so in that particular case, what we need to do, so we need to reassign. Okay, we need to reassign those particular object privilege to some other user. Okay, then PostgreSQL is able to like allow us to drop the particular user. Okay, any doubts, guys? Create user and drop user. We will show you the demo, then you will get the better understanding. Okay, so the privileges. Okay, you know, right? So what are the privileges means? Just to, like, if you, based on the given privileges, the user is able to do like, so what are the like level of the privileges we given? Okay, based on that privileges, okay, the user is able to execute your like select statement. It may be like insert, it may be delete, it may be drop. Okay, it may be truncate. Okay, based on the like given the privileges, okay, the user is like able to access the objects at the database level. Okay, so we have the two types of like privileges in PostgreSQL, that is at cluster level privileges and then object level privileges. Okay, though actually the cluster level privileges are granted by the super user. Okay, so it means the user which is having the super user privileges. Okay, so that can be granted cluster level privileges. Okay, and the user which is having the like object level grant, it means suppose I can say the user is owner of any object. Okay, so that particular user able to provide the grants on the so and so object. Okay, or okay, so suppose if you are like super user, if you are a super user can have the like access to almost every object in the PostgreSQL cluster. The user which is having the super user privileges, okay, that user can able to provide the object level grants, and also the owner of the object is able to provide the grants on the particular objects. Okay, this is the known thing. This is the known things we are playing all those things in every day. Not every day, like maybe in our environments. Okay, these are the grant examples. Okay, so grant usage and schema. Okay, this one we will show you. Okay, the usage is nothing but we can list out the like schema related objects. Okay, that we will show you in the demo. Okay, so this is the syntax. This is the syntax: grant usage on schema name to the particular username. Okay, so whenever if you grant this usage option on the particular schema, okay, so this particular user is able to see the objects. Okay, see the objects under the particular schema, but he is not capable to like retrieve any data or like doing any DML operations on objects under the particular schema. Okay, so if you want to do those operations, so then you need to provide like required privileges. Okay, all table is like, it is like uh, all the like privileges. Suppose like select, insert, update, delete, all the privileges you will get it. Okay, if you provide the all tables, grant all tables for the particular schema. Okay, the statement is something like this: grant, select, insert, update, delete on all the tables in schema name to username. Okay, so with help of this particular syntax, with help of this particular grant, okay, so the user is able to select, insert, and update these all operations he is able to do. He's able to do. Okay, so then another option is, instead of like specifying one by one, okay, we can give the like all privilege on all the tables in a schema. Okay, it means the a particular user will get all the privileges on all the tables in the particular schema. Okay, so then, and similarly, like maybe if you give the grants on the like some other objects also, okay, the same objects also we can give the grants with the help of the all, or with the help like based on the type of the schema, we can play with those particular roles or privileges. Okay, so this is another like grant example. Okay, so suppose if you create user, and like you want to like grant some separate role into the particular user. Okay, in that case, what you need to do, just you need to do alter the command, alter the username, and you can like grant what is the privilege or what is the role you want. Okay, this create DB, okay, super user, create role, and those all are like inbuilt role from the Postgres SQL. Okay, so if you want to make it like current user as a super user, so just you need to alter the user, and you can grant that super user privilege to the particular user. Okay, so we have the create user, create DB is an inbuilt role, and the super user is an inbuilt role, and also create role is an inbuilt role. Okay, so like we have the set of roles. Okay, so like this, we can grant the like any role to the existing user by using the alter user command. Okay, and also we can control even the column level privileges also, if you want to control like so I don't want to have like, I don't want to provide the particular so and so user to access entire table. You want to like provide only some set of tables, separate set of table related columns to give the access to particular user. Even that one also we can do here. Okay, so like suppose you can see, suppose in the column one, okay, column one I need to provide, okay, only select privilege. Okay, so i- like grant select on the particular column one, and also I need to provide update. Okay, on particular, this is I think maybe it's column two, maybe we can say. Okay, so in this way you can give any column level privileges to the particular user. Okay, just to like restrict the access to the particular entire table access to the user. Okay, this may be the requirement from the application team. So application team want to have some, maybe want to generate some report related to some particular column in the table. So in that case, it is useful. Any doubts, guys? Okay. Okay, so up to now we like how saw like how we can grant the privileges. Okay, so then here you can see like how we need to revoke. Okay, how we need to like remove the like granted privileges. Okay, the similarly Oracle. So here also we have the revoke is a like command to remove the like privileges from the Postgres SQL user. Okay, the revoke is a command. Okay, revoke, and what is the privilege you are going to revoke on like which particular object. Okay, on particular table or particular schema. Okay, from the particular, from where which user like we are going to remove. Okay, this syntax is the common. Okay, so and also like we can revoke the privilege like on particular like the schema as well, that we will show you in the demo. Okay, and the next thing is like schema management in Postgres SQL. Actually, user and like as we discussed until now. Okay, you can see user and user and role in Postgres SQL is like it is totally equivalent. Okay, so but here in Postgres SQL the schema is different. Okay, we can say the schema is different compared to Oracle. Okay, but here in Postgres SQL the same, similarly like Oracle, the schema is holding the objects. Okay, the schema is holding the objects Okay, but the schema is related to database. Okay, the each database is containing like n number of schemas. Okay, so if you want to separate, suppose if there is a requirement or maybe there is like n number of modules in our application, so you want to segregate and you want to like divide the each module related objects. So then you can create like each schema for each module and you can store all your like modules. Okay, all your module related objects under the particular schema. Okay, and you can create, as I said, you can create n number of schemas to the database, n number of schemas to the database. Okay, so schema sees at database level in PostgreSQL. Okay, and user and role at like cluster level in PostgreSQL. Okay, so guys, any doubts here?
No.
Okay. Okay, so this is the syntax. Okay, this is the syntax, like, okay, how we can create the schema and how we can drop the schema. So here you can see there is no password is mentioned in PostgreSQL. Create the schema and the schema name. Okay, so with the help of this particular syntax, okay, we can create the schema. Okay, and also, so while creating the schema, we can give the, like ownership to the particular user. Okay, so with the help of the create schema and authorization to the particular username. Okay, while creating the schema itself, we can give the like authorization to the particular user. Okay, so and then the drop schema. Okay, that the drop schema like syntax is this, like drop schema and schema name. Okay, so and similarly, so if any schema is holding any objects, okay, so that if you're trying to drop the schema, okay, so then the drop the schema, like it is throwing the error. Okay, it is throwing the error like the schema is holding the objects. Okay, in this case, what you need to do, you need to just reassign this particular object to some other schema. Then you are trying to drop the schema, then only the PostgreSQL is able to allow the like dropping the schemas, and otherwise, so even you can use the cascade option also to drop the schemas. Okay, this is a one important topic, guys. Okay, in PostgreSQL, the user roles, and like there is a difference between the user and role as compared to Oracle, and the schema is a similar in Oracle, but it is relevant to the particular database. Okay, but here the new concept is like search path. Okay, the search path is nothing but like so we are determining the path. Okay, we are determining the path to like data retrieval operation or maybe data modification operation. It means whenever if you provide the search path for a particular session or particular database or particular cluster, PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, so whenever the user is trying to access the database, okay, so the search path is nothing but we are defining the path. Okay, we are defining the path. You can go and retrieve your data, or if you go and modify your data, okay, into the particular schema. Okay, so in the search path, what we can mention here. Okay, so if we have, suppose I have a database. Okay, in the particular database I have the n number of schemas. Okay, so and the user, okay, so you will like all the users is not able to access entire schema related objects, right? Okay, suppose I have the D1 I have the D1 database. In the D1 database I have suppose 4 schemas: schema 1, schema 2, schema 3. Okay, so in that case I need to like set the search path. Okay, the search path is something like, okay, the search path is something like schema 1, schema 2 and schema 3. Okay, so suppose if I like trying to do some retrieval operation, from the D1 database. Okay, so in that case, okay, so initially based on like your search path, data retrieval operation will be happen, or maybe based on like DML operation. Okay, based on the search path, okay, the DML operation will be happen. Okay, to better understanding, we will show you in the like a demo. You will get the better understanding on this particular search path. Okay, so search path means like this we can like set the search paths, set search path two the schema names. Okay, the order of the schema names we will put it. Okay, we will show you in the demo. Okay, so search path is nothing but, okay, so whenever if you set the search path in the Postgres SQL, okay, so you are trying to do the retrieval operations, or you are trying to fetch something, or trying to modify something, okay, based on the priority of the search path. Okay, suppose test one is my first schema and the public is my second schema. Okay, if I set the search path, and if I trying to if I trying to retrieve some data, okay, so then the search, okay, the data related search will be happen, okay, starting from test one and then public. Okay, then next one, suppose next one, if you have any other schemas in that, okay, if that is part of the search path, okay, then it will go and search into the particular search path. Okay, so you will get a better understanding with the lab. Okay, any doubts here, guys?
Yeah, one doubt. Suppose there will be multiple schemas are available in the databases, and only if you select set the search path, only we can see that schema object, not the other schemas object.
Yes, exactly. If you're not explicitly mention the while selecting, or maybe while doing the DML operation, explicitly you're not mentioning. Yes, correct. Only based on the search path only, it will search for the your content. Okay, if the search path is not search path related schema is maybe your searching related schema is not part of the search path. Okay, yes, you will not retrieve the data from there. You will get the better understanding in lab now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, one question. So how is it different from having separate roles or grants, right? You are already providing grants for several tables, like select particular table or something like that. Even though you have a grant, and if you do not have the schema put in for the search path, you are unable to query the database, right? Query the table or something.
Yes, exactly. See, if you provide the grant also, okay, if you provide the grant on a particular object also, the object is belongs to particular schema. Okay, so object is under the schema. Okay, so on top of those objects, you are providing the grants to particular users. Okay, so even if you have the privileges on the particular schema, okay, related objects, okay, if the search path is not properly set, okay, the search path is not properly set, okay, while retrieving some data, you are not explicitly mentioning any schema name dot object name. Okay, in that case, yes, okay, you will not get any data from data retrieval or data modification operations. Okay, but if you specify, okay, okay, explicitly the schema name dot object name, okay, and the user, okay, the user already having a select privilege on a particular object, yes, you are able to retrieve data, but there is a select operation already on the particular object, but you are not explicitly mentioned schema name dot username. Just you are suppose you are selecting select star from EMP. Okay, so you are already having the select privilege on particular EMP, and that EMP is belong to suppose schema 1. Okay, so and the search path is not set for the schema 1. Okay, you are trying to retrieve the data select star from EMP, you will not get the data. But if you explicitly select the data, okay, so you connect to the database and you are explicitly mention select star from schema 1.emp, then you are able to retrieve the data. You got it?
Yes. Yeah, now I understand. Basically, if you do not specify the schema name, then search path is useful.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, then we can jump into the demo.
So basically, it is in Oracle, we set that alter session, set current schema, something like that, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay, so that is for the session level, right? Okay.
Yeah,
so
that is session level. Yes.
Yeah, here we have in PostgreSQL, we have set the search path at database level, set the search path at session level, set the search path at the database level. We can set the search path at cluster level. Okay, 3 options is available in PostgreSQL.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's discuss the practical part. Basically, so by default, whenever you initialize the cluster, we know, so by default, we get Postgres database and Postgres user. Those are the default database and users. Even when you connect with P-SQL, so the default database and users which we connect is Postgres. Okay. So the first and foremost thing which you have to do is whenever you initialize the cluster, by default there will be no password for this Postgres user. Okay, so we have to change this password for the Postgres user. That is the first thing which we have to do. For example, if you think about Oracle and whenever you are creating the database, you will provide the password for sys and system in while initializing the database, right? So here there is no password for Postgres, even there is no dummy password as well. So we have to, this will be without password. So we have to, create the password or change the password for this user. So how we can do that? So we can do in different ways by using alter user username with password, the new password, but that is not a good practice. Okay. So this is the good practice to change any schema, any user password. Okay. Why this is a good practice, I will explain in just 10 minutes. Okay. So now it is asking to enter the new password for this user, and I'm just entering the password. Okay. Now I have set the password for Postgres user. Okay. In case if your hpa.conf is restricting with password, like if you have enabled MD5 or from 256, definitely it will prompt for the password. So at this moment, you require this password. Even if you want to connect from any remote clients like PG admin or any clients, okay, P-SQL client, you require a password, right? So this is the first good practice which we need to do whenever you initialize the cluster. You have to change the password for this user. And as a DBA, we have to manage this user. Okay, this is a super user, and we should not share this password to any other development team or something, right? We have to manage this. So now if I want to check the users, I can use /du, okay? Or we have a view called PG_users. The PG_users. So either of the view you can check. This is the shortcut /du. Okay, it will display what is the users I have and what privileges this users is assigned. Okay, if you see, these are all the system level privileges. Okay, we have in Postgres. Super user is the main privilege, like sysdba privilege. And we also have create role, create DB, and replication. So these are the system level privileges we have. So these privileges we have to assign, okay, from the super user. So by default, Postgres is a super user. It has all kind of privileges, right? And from PG_users, you can check what is the username you have, okay, and all these details. Now let's understand the difference between user and role. Okay, so for example, if I create a user and if I create a role, what is the difference? Let's see. So for example, I want to create a user1, okay, and with encrypted password. So I will give the password like this. Okay. So user has been created. So this keyword, whatever I'm specifying here, is not mandatory. Okay. Even though if you not mention encrypted, by default it will be encrypted. Okay. So we have an algorithm called password encryption. Okay. We have algorithm called StormShadow 256. By using this algorithm, by default, Postgres will automatically encrypt your password. So here, even you don't need to mention with encrypted. This is default. Even though if you mention encrypted or not, doesn't matter. Okay. Even you simply do create username with password name. Okay. So this is not mandatory. Even if you mention not mention, it will use this StormShadow 256 and it will encrypt your password. Okay. This is the user. Okay. To create the user, this is the command which we use for creating user. Similarly, what I will do, I will just do create role. I will just mention role1 with password or role1. Okay, so I have created user and role. Let's understand what is the difference. Okay, even though I can mention with encrypted password, not a problem. Without mentioning also no problem. So both syntax is same. If I want to see the list of users, I can just use /du. So here what is the difference between user and role? Okay, so user one, user role one. So role one, if you see by default, this role doesn't have any login permission. Okay, so usually in Oracle, what is a role? Role is nothing but set of privileges, right? So we can allocate set of privileges and we can grant this role to any user so that user will get whatever the privileges which we assign in the role. Similarly, same functionality also we can use in Postgres, but this role can also use as a user. Okay, even you can log in with the role and you can access the objects. Okay, if this role have any privileges. But only difference is role by default doesn't have any login privilege. So this we cannot use by default to log into database. This we can use only for granting the set of privileges. But if you want this role to be used as a user, you have to explicitly grant the login permission. Okay, that is the main difference between user and role. So role by default does not have login permission. User will have login permission. Okay, user can able to log into the database. For example, psql-u user1. I want to connect to target DB. For example, to this particular database. Okay, I have connected. Right, with the help of this user, I connected to this database. But when I try to log in with role one, you will get an error like you don't have login permission. Okay, role not permitted to login. Right, this is the main difference between user and role. So almost both is same. Only difference is role will not have login permission, but user will by default he will get the permission. So roles can be used in two ways. One is you can use as a user by granting login permission, or you can just grant set of privileges, maybe system privileges or object level privileges, and you can use as a role. Both ways you can use. Now, what I'm trying to do is alter role or user, whatever keyword you can mention. Even you can use user. Okay, let me do user. Role one with login. Okay. Now when I use /du, now he can able to log in. See now, because I've given login permission to this user or role, whatever you call, okay? So he can able to log in now. So let me log in, right? He can log in. Okay, this is how you can use a role for login, okay? This is the main difference between user and role. Any questions so far? Now, I want to grant any system level privileges. Okay, for example, create role, create DB. Sorry. So by default, this user doesn't have any kind of system level privileges or object level privileges. Okay, so we have to grant explicitly to these users. Okay, you see by default they don't have any system level privileges as well as object level privileges. So we have to grant them. For example, if I want to grant any system level privileges, okay, to this specific users, I can just use like this. For example, user one, okay, with if I want to grant super user, #du. Now user got super user privilege. Okay, so we will not basically grant the super user privilege. Based on the requirement, we grant the create role, create TB, and replication usually we do with while doing the replications. Okay, so while you are configuring the replication, we grant this basically. But based on the requirement, you can grant whether he need create database privilege or create role privileges. Okay, this is how you can grant the system level privileges, and in the same way, even we can revoke it. Okay, how we can revoke? Same command with no super user. We can just give alter user username with no super user. Okay, the roles will be rolled back. See here, you don't have any, or even you can use revoke privilege. Okay, revoke command, or you can just do no super user, no create DB, no create role, something like this you can use to revoke back. So any questions so far? Now, if you want to know what is currently by which user you log in, okay, you can just use /c or connection info, or even you can use something like this, current underscore user. It will display from by default. So which user you have logged into this database, okay, by with the help of current user command. Okay. Now you may think like in Oracle while creating user, so basically we will grant default table space, default profiles, and whatever profiles we want. Okay. Here in Postgres we don't have such kind of profile concepts. Okay. The only thing is you can able to create a user with valid password time. Okay. For example, I'm trying to create a user user 2, okay, with password. This password I want validity until, for example, 2024. I want April 15th. Up to 1 month I want to give validity. Okay. And even I want to limit the connections. Okay. For example, I want to allow this user maybe only 200 sessions. Okay. I can just limit it. Connection limit. Maybe 200. So this is how you have to create. So you can just give the validity after this, the password will be expired. Okay. Again, you have to reset the password for this user. Okay. This is how you can manage, but we don't have separate profile kind of concept. We cannot assign that profile to this user basically. Okay. We have only option is to limit the connections and to expire the password. Okay? Now, how I can check whether my user password, when it is going to expire, and how I can check. Okay, so as discussed, we have a view called PG underscore user. Here you can just try to select start from PG user where username equal to user 2. Okay, this is a username. And if you see for user also, it has created a object ID. Okay. And does this have create DB privilege? No. Does this have super user privilege? That it has replication privilege? That it has this privilege? So it will give all false. If you grant any system level privileges, it will also show true here. Okay. And password will be in encrypted format. Okay. We cannot see the password. And if you see, the validity is until 15th of April. So after this validity, the password is going to expire for this user. Okay, this is how you can check the users. Okay. So if I just give /du plus, if you see here, it will also display the connections is limited to 200 and the password validity until this time. So even you can just do /du also. From here also you can able to find out how the user has been created. Okay, any questions? Now, for example, a few times we may have some requests like user password is expired and I want to allocate the same password to that user. How we can do that? So we have a view called, for example, if you want to see the encrypted password, okay, we have a view called PG underscore shadow. Okay, here I can just do select start from PG shadow, where username equal to user 2. So here the password is in the encrypted format, right? I can just use the same password, encrypted password, and I can allocate the same password to this user. For example, this user password is expired. I want to allocate the same password. What is the previously? Okay. User don't want to change any new password. So I can take this encryption password and I can allocate the same thing. So how I can do that? For example, alter user 2, okay, with encrypted password, and this password you can give. Okay, so it will take the same password what is exists in the previously, right? Okay, so like this you can allocate the same password what is there in the previously by taking the encryption password from PG Shadow. Okay, so this if user wants to change the password, we can change. Otherwise, you can just take the same password and you can allocate for this user. Okay, this is how you can so you can create the password with validity, and after validation expired, you can just alter the password with the same password to this user based on the requirement again. Okay, so any questions so far?
Yeah, one question, please.
Yeah.
Now in Oracle, if I want to create a user and then force user to change the password and set a new password, we have an option out here. What is the option?
Yeah, here you can just create the password with validity with yesterday date. Okay, so anyhow it will give an expire. Then user, whenever he connect to any PG admin or something, it will prompt to change the password.
Okay,
so we have to create. Yeah, we have to create with expired password. I mean with expired date. Okay, so that it will ask to change the password for the user forcefully. But here we don't have a specific option that we have to create by default with expired or something. Okay, so this is how we can manage. Okay. Any other questions?
Does
Yeah,
the user have? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Does
sorry.
you? Sorry, you go ahead. I'll talk.
No. You please complete then after that.
Okay. Yeah. One question I have is with reference to users. If for failed login attempts, does it lock it up?
No. We have to set the editing. Okay, so for that we can able to capture everything or even logging. So with the logging or okay, what I will do, show log underscore statements. Yeah, this one. Okay, so this is the parameter. Currently it is none, right? What I will do, alter system. Okay, so let me bounce the cluster. ECTL. Restart refunding all of PG data. Okay, so now, for example, if I just change this password, or maybe I want to change with plain password. Okay, I will give the new password for this user. Okay, welcome 1. Now let's go and check in alert log. So this logging we are going to explain separately. Okay, so okay. If you see here, alter user username encrypted password, and it also captured the password as well, right? So that is the reason, like, we should not change this password when we have enabled logging. Okay, so logging is something which is capturing all the details. So log underscore statement we will give where we have to log because of this auditing purpose. People will enable that. Okay, whatever the DDL and DML operations which you are doing in the Postgres cluster, everything has to be logged in the alert log. Okay, this is one logging, and we can also enable editing. Okay, we have PG edit. There is one extension called PG underscore edit. So with the help of that PG underscore edit, it will log everything in that log. Okay, there we can capture which is trying to connect with the long password. So those videos and all we can capture from there. Okay. So these are the two ways where we can able to enable logging or editing to the specific users. Okay, so failed login attempts only can be possible to capture from the either from the log or from the PG edit. Okay, we also have a separate parameters to log those details, connection, disconnections, and so on. Okay, so
Yeah, Malati, just adding to Suresh, in Oracle, we will set like, suppose my fail login attempt is maybe 5. Okay, so in functional accounts, if the functional account or maybe the application guy is like trying to attempt like 5 times like with wrong password, automatically in the 6th time it will be like lock, right? Okay, so
Correct.
but here in PostgreSQL we don't have any direct concept like, so it is going to if you enter the password is like bad passwords for multiple times, there is no direct concept like it is going to lock.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
And also we don't have any,
basically
as Suresh said, we don't have any profile concept in PostgreSQL. Okay, so we may expect, okay, until PostgreSQL 16, okay, we don't have any profile concept in PostgreSQL. Maybe we can expect the same kind of profile concept maybe from later version of the PostgreSQL.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in case such functionality is needed, either we have to enhance it through some PL SQL or some other way.
Functions,
Yeah,
some other functions, yeah.
Okay.
we can create a
Okay.
logon trigger, and we can
Okay.
manage that users. Or so probably if you go with Enterprise DB, you have a concept called profile. Similarly, like Oracle, you can restrict the user number of login attempts and everything you can manage. But community
okay.
version, we don't have this functions, but probably we have some other third-party tools means extensions as well. Okay, we can configure that extensions and we can manage. So there is one extension which I could not able to remember. So with the help of that extension, we can create a profiles and we can manage as it is like Oracle profiles. Okay, but by default, inbuilt Postgres doesn't support any kind of profiles and something. We can only have control to validate that password, and we can log everything what user is doing. For example, log connections. Okay, log disconnections. So these things we can just on so that all the users can able to whatever operations which they are doing, everything will be logged in the alert log. Or if you want to manage separately PG edit, you can just in our course also we will discuss in the security class how we can enable PG edit and some things. Okay, so there you will understand like how we can log everything. But if you enable logging, okay, we should be very careful whenever you are changing the password, because this password is going to capture in the alert log. Okay, as it is in the plain text. See, the password even has captured in the plain format, whatever we have given. So that is the reason we have to change the password like this. Okay, so if you change the password, for example, user 2, I'm going to use the new password. Now let's go and see in the alert log whether it is going to capture or not. So now it will take in the encryption format. This is the way to change the password, not with the alter user command. Okay, if you see here, when I do with /password, it is picking with the show encryption password encryption algorithm, and then it is going to change the password. This is the encrypted password. Okay, this will not display in the plain format. So that is the reason people will change the password with this command like /password utility, and they will change. Okay, instead of alter username with password, new password, they will go with /password. This is when you use /password, by default it will pick the encryption algorithm SCAMSHA-256, and then it will log as in encrypted format. So this is a good practice to change the password for any user. Okay, so this is how you can create a user, and we can check the validity, and we can check the encryption password, and we can reallocate the same password to that user. Now let's see, I'm going to connect to target DB. Okay, so here I have a couple of, let me see what are the schemas I have. Okay, so currently I connected to target database with Postgres user. Now I want to check what are the users we know /du. I want to check what are the schemas I have in this particular database /dn. Okay, so by default it will create a public schema, and there is one more hidden schema called pg catalog. Okay, where it has all the data dictionary objects. Okay, and we also have, there is a schema called sky. Okay, so if you want to connect to this specific schema, you have to do set search underscore path. If you don't give, by default, the search path will be for public schema. Okay, so if you see, by default, it is public schema. And whatever the users who is going to read, by default, it is going to public. This is what it is meaning. And now, if you create any tables, okay, by default, it will go to the public. Okay, so if you want to create some objects in this particular schema, you have to set search underscore path to this schema. Okay, and now you can just see show search underscore path. Now it is set to this schema. Now if you create any tables, it will go under sky schema. Okay, so for example, I have this table called employees /dd is to list out the tables. Okay, and if you want to check what are the privileges you have, it has, okay, for this specific table, you have /dp, and okay, there is no privileges, access privileges for this particular table. Okay, there is a table called employees in this schema. Okay, now if any user wants to access this table, for example, user 2, because users are specific to cluster, okay, and schemas is specific to database. If you create any user, that user can be able to use for any database if that user have any permissions. Okay, now what I will do, I will try to log in with psql-u user1 to this database, target DB. So now I connected as a user1 to this database. Now I want to see the list of schemas, and I will go on search underscore search path to this schema. Okay. When I do /dt, I could not able to even see the objects from this schema. Why? Because user 2 does not have any permission, right? Sorry, user 1 does not have any permission on this database on this schema, right? That's why he could not able to see the objects as well. There is a table called employee. When I log in with the Postgres user, I could able to see this table. But when I log in with this user 1, I could not able to see any of my objects, right? Now how I can able to grant to this specific user. Okay, so now what I will do, I will connect to the Postgres schema, and I can grant the privileges for this user one to see the objects. So for listing the objects, we have a privilege called usage. Okay, so if you view usage, let me connect to target DB with Postgres user. Okay, now I connected to Postgres user. Now I want to grant usage. Okay, on schema to user one. Okay, so I granted usage permission to this user for this schema. Okay, now let me connect to this user one. Now I connected to user one. Okay, and I could able to list whatever the objects I have. Okay, these objects are in the public schema. So let me go and do set search underscore path to sky, and let me do /dt. Now he could able to see the table, right? Now let me try to select this table, and he is telling he don't have any privilege. So usage privilege is just to list the objects, but he cannot able to read the tables. I mean, even he cannot able to select the tables if he has only usage permissions. Okay, so we need to grant select privilege to this specific user. Okay, so how we can grant the select privilege? Like similarly, like how we grant, for example, let me connect to public, sorry, Postgres user, and I can grant select on sky dot, what is the table name? Employees, same like Oracle. Okay, there is no difference to user one. Okay, now let me connect to this user. I connected to this user one to this specific database. Now let me go and do set such underscore path, and let me select start from employee. Maybe it may have some huge data. I will just first okay, this doesn't have any data. Okay, this is an empty table. Okay, so basically this does not have any data. So that is the reason we are not able to see any data. Okay, so this is how you have to grant. Similarly, you can grant insert, update, and delete. Okay, or if you want to grant all the objects to that particular table, okay, you can just have a privilege called all privileges. Let me do that. So let me connect to this grant all privileges on all tables in that schema, and schema sky to user one. Okay, privileges. Okay, so this is how you can grant all privileges to this particular schema for all the tables. Okay, so whatever the tables you have in this particular schema, okay, all permissions you have given. Now he can able to go and insert, delete, and he can do all the things. Okay, let me connect to this user, and let me do such underscore path to this schema. And now I can able to insert few records or delete few records, whatever. For example, insert into employee values, okay, ID and name, okay. So he has insert permission as well because we have granted all privileges, okay, to this specific user. So basically in real time, we may get some requirement that there are some set of users where I have to grant only read-only permissions to that specific user. Okay. So from version 15, they have introduced new two roles. Okay, let me do PG underscore role. PG underscore roles. Okay. So select DIST distinct role name. There's something called PG read all data, PG write all data. Okay, so this role have a read-only privilege, and you may get in real time like you want to grant only read-only privileges to specific user. Okay, you can grant this read-only user privilege to that user so that the user will have all read-only permissions to that user. Okay, and you don't need to explicitly mention like you want. You have to grant like multiple roles, right? For all the tables, you have to prepare the grant statement and you have to do that. So instead of that, you can just give this role. So this role will by default will have all read-only privileges. okay, allocated to this role, you can just grant this role to that user. Okay, for example, grant to user 1. Okay, so let me connect to Postgres user because Postgres user can only grant us privileges, right? So let me grant this. So this user will have all read-only privileges on all tables in this specific database, not a specific schema as well. In this database, he will get all tables read-only permissions, okay, to this specific user. In the same way, you can also do write privilege, but before granting write, just we need to be careful, okay? So we can grant the write privileges as well to this specific user. So these two roles they have introduced in version 15. These two roles doesn't have in the previous versions, maybe before 15, okay? So this is how you can manage the read-only privileges and read-write privileges, okay? If this is easy, right? Instead of preparing all the select statement permissions to that user, you can easily grant this, okay? So probably in real time, we may get this kind of requirement easily. Now, for example, if you want to grant a specific column, so even here we can also grant specific column privileges, okay? So for a specific schema, or sorry, for a specific table, let me connect to search underscore path to this specific schema, and I have this set of columns. Now I don't want to give access to maybe mobile number or email ID or date of birth. I want to grant only first name and last name columns. Even you can grant just by connecting to Postgres user. Okay, grant. First name, comma, last name. From okay, from this table. Like this you can grant, okay? You can just grant a specific columns, column 1, column 2 on a specific table to the user, okay? So, okay, looks like this. Okay, employee number, let's say. I don't want to give salary information to this user, okay? I just grant specific column privileges to this on EMP to user 2. Okay, let me check exactly what is the syntax. Okay, I want to specify this privileges as well. For example, select on this particular column on, maybe I want to give for this table employees, right? Or even I can go for this table EMP to user 2. Okay, like this you can grant only specific columns. If you want select statement on only this particular column, you can grant like this. Okay, column level access also is possible for this particular user. Okay, now how I can check what are the object level privileges I have allocated to this user. Okay, we have a view called information schema dot table underscore privileges. Okay, so with the help of this view, we can able to find out what are the object level privileges that this user has. Let me just go with select start from this where grant equal to user 2. User 1. Okay. So user 1 will have all this set of privileges, okay, on this specific database, on this schema, on this particular tables. He has insert, select, update, delete, truncate, everything. He has all privileges because we have granted all privileges to this schema. Okay. From this view, you can able to identify whatever the object level privileges you have to the specific user. Okay, who is the grantor and who is the grantee, and what type of privileges he has on which database and which schema. Okay, you will get all this information from this view. Okay, so any questions so far?
Yeah, one question, please.
Yeah.
Now, earlier to have access to all the objects, or let's say all tables under a particular schema, what we did is grant all privileges on certain syntax, right?
Yes.
Now, if there is any new table, the user won't have access to that table.
Yeah, if you give all privileges, you don't have. But if you give this role, the predefined role called PG read all data, this role will have feature tables as well. Okay, but if you give like explicitly grant select on or grant all privileges, then future tables will not have that privilege. Again, you have to grant. Instead of this, if you go with this role, even the future tables also will get the access, read-only access to this particular role, with this role on that specific schema.
Right, but that would give user access to data across different databases as well, right? Which is a security violation.
No, you mean to say because we already granting the read-only privileges to the specific database. Okay, so this user will have all. I mean, while creating here, what we did by granting, you have to specify on which schema you should have this. Okay, if you simply just grant like this, he will get all privileges on this database target DB, but he will not have access on other databases. If you want to explicitly mention that he need only on that particular schema, okay, you can just give that on that particular schema only, not the entire database.
Because users, table spaces, and access rights are global, right?
Yes, so, those are global, but even you have control to restrict to a specific database, to a specific schema by grants, right? Until unless you grant only, that user can able to see, even though they are global, they can able to log in if they have login privilege. That's it. They cannot able to see the data, see the list of objects and all, until unless we grant the specific permissions to this user.
Because if user has login privilege to other databases and not read privileges to other schema, this role would give that privilege, which is again a security violation.
No, I mean to say, whenever you create any user, by default this user will have login permission and he can connect to any database, but he cannot able to list. When you grant this, while granting, you have to specify a specific schema. On that specific schema only, you need these permissions. If you not specify, you will get full database access. I mean, read-only access. We only need to manage. If you want to grant on that specific schema, you can just specify that schema to this user. Only he will get on that schema, not the entire database and other databases. If this user wants to have permission on other databases, okay, you have to grant there as well. Okay, so I mean, you don't need, you have to manage with this grant only while creating. Okay, you can just go with help command. See here they have given the syntax. Okay, how you can manage to a specific schema to a specific role. Okay, and while creating, you have to specify that specific schema. Only that schema he will get access, but not all.
Okay, I'm still not certain about it. I'll try to test it. I doubt.
Yeah, you try to test it. While granting, you can specify a specific schema. Okay, to this read-only access. Okay, and then you can try to access from the other schema as well. So you don't able to see the other schema objects until unless you grant the specific permissions.
Yeah, just adding to Suresh Darpan. Okay, so granting the role on so-and-so schema, okay, or on so-and-so database to particular user. Okay. So the role is introduced by like PostgreSQL community. Okay. It is going to, with help of that particular role, you can give the grants to particular user. Okay, at the database level. Okay, under the database level, what are the schemas you're having? Okay, so you will get the access for that. Under the schema, what are the objects are there? You will get the access, read-only access for that to particular user. Okay, so just you can play with that particular role and please let us know if you have any doubts.
Okay, because under the database, if you have access to all the schemas, that again is a violation. Fine, never mind. I'll
No,
take it one
actually
step.
see, under the violation in the sense, we are going to give the like access based on the requirement, right? Okay. So like, so people are maybe some of the like application people are asking like, I need access for this particular database, read-only access. Okay. If they're specifically telling like, I need the access on this particular database and the particular schema, okay, then we can give accordingly, right? Okay, it's not like, so based on the requirement only we are going to give. Okay, definitely like maybe like we are giving extra privileges, then that definitely there is a like violation. But as per the request, we can play with the granting the like these roles and privileges.
Okay, let me rephrase my question. Under a database, you have two schemas, okay? A user must have access to only one schema, not to the second schema. So all the objects that are currently created, you can certainly give the grant using grant all privileges. I think there was some syntax. But any new tables, there will be a problem. So if you grant this read all data, that would also grant access to a particular user to the second schema, which he should not have. Is that correct?
I think no. Suresh, like maybe we can try that one. Like, or I think we are running out of time. Oh, 7:44.
That is
So
okay.
what we can do,
it on a
Darpan?
Monday.
Yeah, Darpan, we can do it on Monday. Okay,
That is
so we
fine.
can play with that. We got your question. Okay, we got your question. Okay, so in the specific database, in specific thema, we can manage. Okay, and maybe yeah, we will show now itself. Yeah. On schema.
Yeah, because these are, I mean, per definition, these has to be global. So that is what my concern was.
Mm-hmm.
Why they did not add this in the help command, not sure.
Maybe it's like very new one, right? So that we will see, Darpan. Okay, we will check and like we will update you related this one.
All right, not a problem. I'll also try to
Yeah.
brainstorm from my end.
Yeah, fine. But there will be a sure that we can have a control on this. Okay, so that
Yeah.
we'll see how we can control it, because we can only grant to a specific schema. If it is a public, then we have to see how we can control it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it we have for today. We will share the lab manual. Please try to practice, and if any questions, we can clarify tomorrow class. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank
Means
you.
Monday class. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Bye.